My name is Sarah. Welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, March 17, 2025, and in this episode I want to share my handwerk perikelen. That's a Dutch word for crafty adventures from this week with you. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I make my episodes in Dutch and in English, so be sure you pick the right one. Okay, I have no finished objects today, but a lot of fun things, although I think they are fun to share with you. I want to share all my steeking adventures on my Haust cardigan with you. I will give you a little update of my second Hobbiton vest. I have all the socks on all the different needles I want to chat a little bit about, and I also want to give you a rabbit update. I noticed the question, how are your rabbits doing? Quite often in the comments under my videos, so I thought it is time to share with you how they are doing. I don't know if they can feel anything yet, but we will come to that. I am wearing my Lauder vest today. It's a pattern by Clow from the podcast, from the Designs. And I made it last year, and it's the perfect garment for this time of the year. In the Netherlands, it is spring. Not only in the Netherlands, but here it is spring. And spring is playing a little bit of a peekaboo game. It is sneaking. It is looking around the corner, and then it's go back, and then it's there again. And we have had quite some bright, sunny, warm days, and now it's cold again, but it will be warm this week, and it's a little bit of confusing weather. Very cold in the mornings, but when the sun comes through, it can be very warm, especially inside. So layering yourself up is perfect for this time of the year, and sleeveless garments are perfect for that. I wear sleeveless garments all the time, with in the morning and in the evening an extra cardigan over it and a big shawl when I go outside, and when the sun is bright and warm I can put it all out except my sleeveless layer. So I did knit more vests in the years before now, but somehow since I made my two Kalides vests, somehow the love really kicked in, so I really feel a big need for a big pile of sleeveless garments. And I was very happy I found this in my knitting library, I would say, in my knitted wardrobe, because it's perfect for today. Okay, my Haust cardigan. I don't know what Haust means. Do you say Haust or Haust? I actually don't know. Is it a place? I didn't check. My Haust cardigan is a pattern by Ellie from Skeindeer Knits, and it is in my knitting library. I'm a bit in a hurry. It is in my Ravelry library for years, and I also have the yarn in my stash for years. I did buy it in 2020 or 2021, and I did buy this pattern especially for the lower neckline, but also to learn how to do all the steeks. I'm not new to steeking, but I only steeked for the front button band and never for armholes or neckline. And although I already experienced that steeking is not as exciting or difficult as I thought it would be, I still don't have the helping thoughts for the armhole and neckline steeking. I know it wouldn't be hard or difficult, but I was thinking that. So I did buy the pattern for that, and apparently I needed 4 or 5 years to collect enough courage to start. Let me show you the yarn. Maybe I did that last week, I'm sorry. I'm knitting in Rauma Finel. I bought it in a Dutch shop. It's a Norwegian yarn. Yes, it is. I'm quite sure. Norwegian. Yeah, I'm quite sure. It's not on the label. Oh, yeah, yeah. Norwegian yarn, 100% a rustic yarn. And I have this beautiful pink color. And it's a little bit of a special pink because I'm not a pinky girl. I'm more from the browns and the darker colors. But this shade of pink is very special. And I don't know if you can see it, but since I'm knitting it up, I know what it is, what makes it so special and why I love it. It has a bit of a grey tone over it, and my cardigan is not blocked yet, so it is looking a bit, I don't know, it's actually looking as if there are grey stains over the pink. It's actually looking as if you put your favorite pink cardigan in the laundry machine together with a black sock. Accidentally. And when you do it accidentally, it would be something you can cry about. But when it's on purpose, it's making me very happy. It's actually heart jumping. I don't know, I don't like the very soft pink, not on me. I'm not sweet enough for a pinky cardigan, I guess. But with this grey layer, yeah, I don't know. I really love the color. I really love colors, but I love when they have a little bit of a dark shade over them. And this is perfect for that. So, where is my other yarn ball? So I can give you the color number. I did throw it somewhere. Oh, here. This is color 4138. I don't know if it has a name. You can find all the details about all the things I'm talking about on my Ravelry page. I try to keep my project pages quite updated. Mostly when I finish a garment, but most of the time you can find all the other information yet. I also started Instagramming again. Yeah. See, yeah, it's not that you can find details, but every now and then a picture. So I really love working with this yarn. It's not my first time working with Rauma, but it is the first time working with Rauma in one color, I guess. And this is a lace pattern, a bottom-up pattern, and I really love knitting lace. It has been a while since I do that. It is just so easy, but so much fun. With only yarn overs and knitting stitches together, you can create such a lovely pattern. And obviously my cardigan is not blocked yet. The grammar is really a struggle for me in English. In Dutch, I think in Dutch it's easier. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because I'm used to the Dutch grammar. This definitely needs to be blocked, and I think I have to pin it a little bit so it spreads out beautiful. But I really love the idea of combining some yarn overs, knit stitches and knit together, slip slip knit, and then create this lovely leafy pattern. Yeah, it's really fun and really addictive to do. So I run through that chart in only a few days, and nothing really happened. Oh, you have your first steek. Oh, that's something that happened. With the cast on, you cast on 5 extra stitches immediately for the steek. You purl 1, knit 3, purl 1, that's your steeking column. So you can see that steeking column runs through right here. I didn't steek this yet. I could have done it, but not necessary. I will do it in the end. After finishing the body, it's quite a cropped cardigan, but after finishing the body, you bind off stitches for the armholes, and then the fun steeking part began for me. The next round, you immediately cast on steek stitches again. Again, 5 steek stitches, the same as this one. So you have steek stitches here and steek stitches there. That's a lot of to say a lot of times, repeating myself. All the steek stitches. And because of the steek stitches, you can keep knitting in the round. Normally, when you knit a bottom-up cardigan and you spread for the armholes, you knit, you finish the front piece first, and the other front piece, and then the back piece, and you can seam the shoulder seams, sew the shoulder seams. I always do a 3 needle bind off, but this time, because of the steek stitches, you just keep knitting in the round. And No lace knitting was happening and no color work is happening. But when you are knitting back and forth, you can, do you say rowing out? There is a name for it, but I can't remember it. When you knit the body in the round and you knit the upper part back and forth, and it doesn't matter if you knit bottom up or top down, you can see quite lining out. It's lining out, I guess. You can see quite a difference between the knitted back and forth fabric and the knitted in the round fabric, because purling, it's just a little bit looser quite often. Yeah. That's not happening when you are knitting in the round, when you keep knitting in the round with your stick stitches. And also the shaping for the sleeves, you are doing some decreases in the armholes, and it was actually inspired by a certain method. Let me see, Ellie is telling that in the pattern, Asa Tricosa's ziggurat method. I did her hair from that earlier and I did check the ziggurat method, but I don't understand it because I never used it, but it was inspired by that method. So you are decreasing for the armholes. And at a certain point you bind off quite some stitches for the neckline, and then again in the next round you cast on 5 stitches for the steek for the neckline again, because you are not finished with the front pieces and there is a steek happening in between. And at that point my knitting was looking very weird. I was knitting a kind of a tube with weird shapes, especially at the places of the steeks. A quick fit in between was not an option because my head would never fit in between. It was just not an option. And normally I fit my garments when I'm knitting to check if the fit is correct or check the length, but that was not an option with this one. So I thought, okay, let's just follow the pattern. So I also did some decreases. I'm sorry, I'm hustling them up all the time. When I say increase, I mean decrease, okay? For this time. I also made some decreases for the neckline, and at some point you can seam the shoulder seams. There were some short rows up there. I didn't understand what I was doing either for those. And then I did the 3 needle bind off, and then I had this weird of the needles looking garment. But I thought, let's steek immediately. It was Friday night that I was working on that. Let's steek immediately because I really want to know how the fit is, and I really want to know how the steeks are working. Ellie suggesting different ways of reinforcing your steek. What you normally do is reinforcing the steek stitches, and you cut in the middle of your steek stitches, and the steek stitches near the middle steek stitch you reinforce. I always do that with my sewing machine. I love doing that with my sewing machine. I do a zigzag line twice, better safe than sorry. Nothing will happen to my stitches. I know steek stitches, knitting stitches will not unravel horizontal, but still it feels so unnatural to cut in your knitting and trusting that they will go nowhere. I don't trust them, and I didn't trust Ellie either, because she said in her pattern, when you are working with rustic yarn you don't have to reinforce, you can just cut. And I read that and I thought, no way, no way. And I believe that she knows all about steeking and she has a lot of steeking experience, but I couldn't trust her, so I decided not to. The other thing she suggested was a crochet reinforced steek, and I decided to go for that. I did try it once earlier. I didn't really love doing it. I just love my sewing machine reinforcement. But the point was, especially for this part, I really love to hide my open cutted messy steek stitches with a facing. Let me show it to you. This is one of my latest items. When you cut open your steek, it's looking a little bit messy, all the ends, and I love to knit a facing to hide that those messy ends. But because of the lace in the Haust cardigan, I think it's not an option to make a facing, to knit a facing. Knitting a facing is an option, but to sew it to the inside of the body part. You can't do it invisible because quite close to the button band there are the holes of the lace knitting, and yeah, your facing will go over those holes, those yarn over holes. So I thought, okay, let's try the crochet method, and in the pattern was a link to a tutorial, crochet reinforcement tutorial from Very Pink Knits. It was a very clear tutorial, it looked very easy. She did it on a colorwork swatch, and especially working with the different colors made it much more easier to see where you have to put your crochet hook in. I have one color, so it was a little bit more of a challenge, especially in the beginning, in the base, in the cast on row of your stitches, of your stick stitches. I really wanted to be sure I catched every strand I needed to catch, and it was quite challenging to see that. And later, when I just crocheted the chains, are those chains? It's the lowest crochet stitch. In Dutch we call them halve vaste. You crochet a ridge of those crochet stitches over your stick stitch, and when you just have done the few beginner stitches are a little bit wonky and hard to see, but later it's quite easy. You just have to grab one leg of one knitting stitch and the other leg of the other knitting stitch, and then it's all done. And then you can cut in between the crochet ridges, and it was really my knitting brain, and also not my crochet brain. I can't get how a crochet stitch can hold all the yarn ends together, but it works, and it is still, I have all the yarn ends, and it's not, but look at this. This is a stick with a crochet reinforcement. Where are all the yarn ends? I can't get how they are catched in the crochet stitches, and I must say this one is looking a little bit more messy, so this is how I have it in my brain. I think this was my first stick. Some points are unraveling a little bit, especially at the beginning, but they don't freak me out because I could have cut in it without doing any reinforcement. So I think it's good, and especially when it's washed and blocked and when you wear it, it will be a little bit felted. Oh yeah, I get the advice, the suggestion to felt my stick stitches with a felting needle, and I don't have a felting needle. I did have, but they are all broken. So I have to buy some new felting needles, and that would be a lovely way too. I think the felting is really something, when you have aggressive feelings, make a felted stick, because you can just do this and all your aggressive feelings are gone. I really love the felting. Not that I'm aggressive quite often, but yeah, still it's just a lovely thing to do. So yeah, I think I am happy with how it worked out. The only thing is that there is some fabric on the shoulder seams and on the inside, and you can see that a little bit. Maybe I have to sew it down. I don't know. It's not in the pattern. So I will wait until I have blocked the cardigan, and I shall see what will happen with the stick stitches. Yeah, I won't decide before I have blocked this. But I really loved making it. And then I started knitting a set-in sleeve. Apparently this cardigan has a set-in sleeve. It is my first time knitting a set-in sleeve. Although it's my first time I am aware of knitting a set-in sleeve. I can remember my Acer cardigan. That was one of my first knitted cardigans. It could be an Ace. It could be a set-in sleeve. Could have been a set-in sleeve too. Because I didn't get it. I didn't understand anything of what I was doing. I remember myself skipping the short rows, but the shaping is quite similar, so maybe that was a set-in sleeve too. But now I know I am knitting a set-in sleeve, and I actually quite love it to do it. It was quite fun. You pick up the stitches and then you knit all the short rows to knit a sleeve cap, and you knit a short row and you pick up a stitch. Yeah, it's going further and further, and you have that beautiful short sleeve cap. I really love doing it. I don't know if it's the perfect shape for my shoulders. I think more and more that I'm a dropped shoulder woman. That's the perfect fit on my shoulder, but again, I can't decide before it's blocked and finished, and then we'll know. But it was really fun to knit. And then the sleeves, I don't mind knitting sleeves. I really love knitting sleeves, especially when you have so many decreases on the sleeve and you can see all my stitch markers. I feel very organized when I have that. When a sleeve asks you to do, or not, the sleeve is not asking you, when a designer asks you to do every 6th round a decrease on a sleeve, that was what I had to do in my size. You knit 5 rounds and in the 6th round you do a decrease, and then it's very motivating. It feels a little bit the same as knitting stripes. Oh, I knit this stripe, I knit to the next decrease, and then I do something. I alternated last Saturday. I knitted the sleeve last Saturday, and I did alternate between all the things I need to do in the house. And I didn't feel the motivation for. I knitted to a decrease and did some other task in the house, knitted to the decrease, and I changed, and that really worked good for me. And now I'm working on the 2nd sleeve. I'm really having fun. It was my plan to finish it as soon as possible, but then I saw the weather forecast, and yeah, temperatures will rise, and then I realized when it's so warm in the weekend, this cardigan will be too warm for me to wear. So my attention switched to another garment, my 2nd Hobbiton vest. I want to tell you all about that vest too, but first, all the love for my Haust cardigan. I still think that I can finish it this week, but I will finish my my Hobbiton. I'm knitting all the H cardigans. You say H in English, I guess. In Dutch we say ha. Haust and Hobbiton. Yeah, it's a team, I guess. Okay. Next project is living in this lovely project bag, vintage fabric in those warm brown and orange stripes. It's a very special one. It's made by my knitting friend, project bag making friend Ingrid, and she gifted this project bag to me on the day of the Knit to Purl to Festival in November last year. So special memories are catched into this project bag. And the fun fact is that the yarn I am knitting with is also a gift I received last November, also on the day of the Knit to Purl to Festival, from one of the vendors. Oh, my needle is... I have to twist it. This is a lovely yarn from Marianne from Atelier Lindelucht. She's a Dutch dyer, and I showed it a few weeks ago, and I was wondering, what does... the label says it is 80% NSW micron merino and 20% linen, and I didn't understand what the NSW means. And I was thinking, is it a part of New Zealand? But a lot of you texted to me, commented to me under the video, no, it means non-superwash. And also Marianne, she reached out to me and she said it means non-superwash merino. So that was quite fun, because it did make much more sense than New Zealand yarn. I don't know, I didn't think of non-superwash. I was thinking of a country, a part of a country. But it's non-superwash merino with linen, so it makes it the perfect yarn for socks. You can, a natural sock yarn, but also for a summer garment, because of the merino and the linen. Merino is not itchy on me when I'm warm, when I'm feeling warm, and the linen is also feeling very lovely. And I really love the color, and I'm knitting my Hobbiton vest, and it's quite a mess on my needles right now, all the yarn, and I can't really show it. What is happening right here? It's a little bit hard to show it because my shoulder straps are not connected yet. So I will hold it upside down. This is my 2nd Hobbiton vest, and it is a pattern by Fabel Knitwear. I knitted my first one in January or February. It is right here. It was a hormonal cast on by then. I knitted one in Let Lopi and I really loved working on it and I really love wearing it. It is a lovely pattern and it's such a nice piece to have in your wardrobe, and I decided I want a staple of it. Do you say it like that? I want many Hobbiton vests in my hand knitted wardrobe, in all the colors, in all the different yarns, so I can wear them all the time. And again, it's the perfect garment for layering up. So yeah, this one really made me happy and I decided to cast on a new one quite quickly. And as you can see, it's a bottom-up knit. Don't be fooled by the way I'm holding it up. It's a bottom-up knit and you cast on for the ribbing, and in the first round after the ribbing you do quite some increases. You can see it's a little bit flowing, but that gives it that really vintage 50s vibe, the garment. It's looking quite fun. And then you knit the, is it the must stitch or the seed stitch? I think the must stitch. Just knit one, purl one and do it the other way around the next round. Knit one, purl one for all the body with nothing exciting happening. No decreases, no increases, I mean. So it's just, yeah, quite plain knitting, but knit one, purl one. And I really love the rhythm of knit one, purl one. I always do combination knitting. So I'm a continental knitter. I do my knit stitches, I think the regular continental way. And my purl stitches, I learned you can call them the Russian purl or the granny purl. I'm not quite sure, but I think combination knitting is what I'm doing, and that makes your purl stitches get twisted on the needle, so you have to insert in the other leg when you knit them the other way, the next round. But it makes it a very small movement and it's very rhythmic and I really love knitting it. So I had fun and then I needed to do some decreases, I'm sorry, for the front pieces. Let's see if I can get untangled. So I did that yesterday. I have my front pieces. It's a V-shaped neckline and now I only have to work on the back piece and I can close my shoulder seams. I always do that with 3 needle bind off. And then I have to do the armhole ribbing and the fake button band. I really love the fake button band. It's new to me. Last year I experimented with the fake button band on my skirts, on my sewed skirts. Sewing my skirts with a fake button band. And this was the first time I did use a fake button band on a garment. So you can't open this garment because it's fake. And I really love it because I don't need to open it. And I did steek my latest Kalides vest. I showed it last week, but I realized now that it was not necessary to steek it. I could have added a fake button band and I didn't know that, of course, but I'm putting it on and off over my head without opening the buttons. And sometimes it can be very nice and helpful to wear a cardigan open fronted, but quite often I wear it closed or not. So then, yeah, it saves a lot of time. So I really love the fake button band, so I will add it. And I think it's quite interesting that you can knit a garment with only 2 skeins of hand-dyed yarn. And of course that's not in every size, but I'm knitting size 2 and I think it goes up to a chest circumference of 116 centimeters, and I'm not sure if that's your actual bust circumference or the one of the finished garment, but up to that size you can knit with 2 skeins. I need 80 gram and I have 2 100 gram skeins, fingering weight, holding double. So I love that. So really looking forward to finish it. I think I'm quite close to finishing, and because of the warmer weather I can start wearing it immediately. I can wear it with a long sleeve t-shirt under it or with a short sleeve t-shirt. I can even wear it with only a tank top under it when it's really warm, although it's a DK weight, so when it's really warm I don't know if I want to have a DK weight layer, but I can do it if I want to. Okay. Okay, time for a little chat about my sock knitting. All the socks on my needles. I really love knitting socks. I learned it a few years ago, I think quite some years ago yet. And in the beginning I didn't understand anything about sock knitting. I was quite impressed by the look of a sock. How is the construction working? But since I got it, So I knit socks all the time, and I have quite some socks myself. And also my family, they all have quite some hand knitted socks. I did give away a lot of socks for people's birthdays or as a thank you gift. But I noticed that promising people socks or deciding you want to make socks for someone's birthday goes much quicker, much faster than knitting the socks. So I stopped doing that, and because we had enough socks, I didn't knit as much socks as I used to. I always love to have one on my needles, because knitting a sock, when you get it, it's just a perfect little small project to put in your bag for when you are on the way or just for in between. I am a little bit coming back to my sock knitting mojo. I am knitting every now and then one of the Colorwork Cuff Club socks. I don't want to knit them all, but every now and then I knit one. And last month I organized a knitting day, and one of the ladies was telling about her box of socks. She has a box and she put all the socks in it, and when someone wants a pair of socks she gives it to them. And I was inspired. I thought I want a box of socks too. And I don't know if I showed it last week. I was looking for a beautiful box, but I couldn't find a beautiful one. So now I have an ugly one. But I want to fill it with all the pair of socks. And I can share them with my loved ones. But I want to knit them before I decide to give someone, because there's no stress, no deadline, no time pressure. So yeah, since then my sock knitting mojo is back. I want to share a little bit about those socks, because I'm knitting on all the different needles, and I'm really having fun. So let me show it. This one is in also a lovely handmade project bag by a Dutch knitter. Also gifted to me at the Knit to Pearl to Festival. I'm really a spoiled lady, I know. Very generous of her. Her name is Adriella. And this is a beautiful sock yarn I bought, I think at the end of 2024 at Little Shop around the corner. That's a Dutch shop. It's not a yarn shop, but it's one of my favorite shops with all the linen dresses, and all my bracelet and necklace all come from Karin and her shop, and she also is a knitter, so she does sell some yarn, and I really love this color combination. It's a yarn from Hopjes. I think I shared it before because I remember the sch. This is a hard combination of letters to pronounce for English speaking people. It is the color Mesa. I never knitted with this yarn, but I love the colorway. And I decided that this would be my Shortie sock. I wanted to practice more on Shorties. I'm a magic loop knitter, but every time I hear someone happy talking about knitting on Shorties, something resonates with me, and yeah, it's perfect. It doesn't matter if you knit on Shorties or magic loop, as long as you are doing what feels hard jumping for you. But because of that resonation, I thought, okay, let's try it, let's practice it. But when you are practicing a new technique, it can feel quite uncomfortable, and we don't want that uncomfort. We don't want that. We want to knit nice and smooth, and yeah, I don't know, it's not attractive to knit with an uncomfortable feeling. But I decided just practice, knit on Shorties, and I was knitting those on Shorties, all knit stitches. But when the striping was happening, I couldn't stop thinking I want this yarn in a ribbed stitch, and that was my plan in the beginning, but I didn't want to knit rib on Shorties because I was practicing. So I decided to frock. I almost finished the foot, and I decided to frock the foot and re-knit it on magic loop. I must confess, I do regret that I didn't unravel this little piece of yarn I already have knitted, because as you can see, it is quite messy. And later it is more neater. So maybe it was better if I unwind this part and add it to my scrappy blanket. But it is what it is. So I am knitting a Knit Tree Purl 1 sock, and it's my plan. It's a 100 gram skein. It's my plan to make it 50 gram. So I will knit until I have 50 gram left. I will not knit a border, just keep on knitting, and it will be a very slouchy sock. Because I really love to have a purl stitch at the beginning of the foot and the end of the foot, I did do one extra decrease. I knit my socks on 2mm needles, 56 stitches for my size, so 28 on both needles, and for one needle I made 29, so I could start with a purl 1 stitch, purl 1, knit 3, purl 1, knit 3, and I could also end with a purl 1 stitch. And after doing the shadow wrap short row heel, I did knit some 2 stitches together to get the correct amount of stitches again. I always knit 10 rounds of stockinette after finishing a short row heel before I start knitting in pattern, because that part of the sock is around your heel too. So yeah, really lovely. I am knitting on a 2mm needle, 80 centimeter cable, magic loop, and at this moment this sock is in the project bag in my backpack. It's not happening quite. I have another. I am knitting on a shawl, but it's almost finished, so I have another on the go project, but still good to have an extra one. You never know. I did find another yarn ball in my stash, which I thought it would be better for knitting a plain sock with no ribbing stitch but only knit stitches. This is a Lang Yarns ball. It was gifted to me by Lang Yarns, and it is Super Socks Capital Cities. And as you can see, it is much more stripy, more narrow stripes. It's colorway 340, and I must confess this one knits up much neater than my first one. So I don't know if it's the yarn or if I am already used to knitting on shorties in this sock, but I really love it. And the stripes are really fun to knit. I don't know if these are really my colors, but that doesn't matter for socks. I'm knitting those on the 5 centimeter needle points, so those are the shortest ones. They always come with 5 centimeter, did I say millimeter? 5 centimeter and 8 centimeter. And normally I would hold one longer one in one hand and one shorter one in the other hand, but now I thought that's always when I try to knit the same as I always do, but I thought maybe it's better to choose the shorter needle tip so I can learn myself a new way of holding it, and that worked pretty good. My hands are used to it quite some, although I haven't knit on those for more than a week because I'm at the heel right now, but I have no 2mm needles left to knit the heel, so I have to wait until one of the other socks is finished, and then before I will cast on the second one I can knit the heel, a shadow wrap short row heel in this one, and then I can go knit further on shorties. That's the only thing I don't like on shorties, that you need another needle for the toes and the heel, but it's okay, it's okay. I am having fun. Then I have, I did buy a sock, what's the word for, in Dutch we call it lineaal. What's the word for lineaal? I don't know, sock measure. It was on my list for quite a while. I heard quite some people talking about this. It's a thing, a wooden thing with all the information on it. It's from Germany, Tanja Steinbach. And it has both sides. This is the fingering weight side and this is the DK weight side. And this thing tells you how many stitches to cast on in which yarn, and you can also measure when it's time to start knitting the heel or the toes. You can put it in your sock, and that's quite interesting. So I did buy it in a yarn shop in my town, and I think I'm very happy with it. I always know for my own size how many rows to knit, how many rounds to knit. But I must confess, I was knitting this one. This is my second pair of family socks. I'm knitting together with my mom a pair of socks for all the members of our family. So we can, on Christmas Eve, when we are celebrating Christmas in 2025 together, we have all the stripy feet. So we feel very connected and very happy. So that's fun to do. But I am knitting 3 pair in size 38. And the previous pair had 1 stripe more, so I thought I need to knit 12 stripes. But when I measured with the lineal, what's the word? That doesn't matter. I was already there, so this one has 11 stripes. So there was kind of an error in my mind. I always knit 60 rounds for my size. Now it needs to be 55 rounds. But the thing is saying it, so I think it will work out pretty good. But I will fit. So I think this is a 38 and the other one is 38.5. But we shall see. I have to knit 1 stripe and then I have to knit the border. We decided to knit the toes, the heels and the borders in different colors. So everyone has their own color and the stripes are all scrappy. 5 round stripes. It's really a fun crochet work to do. This one is on also magic loop, 2mm needles on a 100cm cable. When I started buying Chogu needles in the beginning, I thought I buy everything fixed needles with a 100cm cable so I can knit everything on it. Socks, sleeves, blankets. I don't think I will ever knit a blanket on 2mm needles, but I can do it if I want to. It would be lovely to knit 2 socks together, magic loop. I did try that. It's not really my thing. I'm too clumsy for it, but maybe I will do it once when I just want to refresh, learn new skills. I can imagine, and then I can use this needle. So having fun with this one. And then last but not least, I showed it last week, my Hopjes socks designed by Mirjam Molenbeek, one of my Dutch knitting friends. I really love the classic look of this baby cable sock. It's really fun to knit. I knit heel flap and gusset. I didn't like heel flap and gusset. I learned sock knitting with heel flap and gusset and then I switched to short row heels. I really loved the fit and the look and the especially the way of knitting it more. But now at this point in my knitting life, I love to do all. So all the needles, all the heels, and I just have fun in changing every now and then. Those needles are my latest success. And I think I shared it before, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. These are interchangeables 2mm 10cm needle points with the short mini cable. I think this is the 35cm mini cable, but I'm not sure. When I was at the yarn shop 2 weeks ago at midnight, I asked the owner, do you have 2mm interchangeables? And she said, no, I don't have, but I do have the 10 centimeters for myself. You can try them. That was very sweet. I could try them and I was a little bit, I don't know if I like that 10 centimeters, but I'm really happy. 10 centimeters with a short cable, it's perfect for knitting magic loop. So I texted her, please order them for me because I need them in my knitting toolbox. So, knitting all the socks, I really love it. I have all those baskets behind me. Our kitchen table where we eat and drink coffee and spend a lot of time during the day. We have a very small house. Behind me I have all the baskets with my socks and it's perfect to grab every now and then when you have to wait until your coffee is finished, or when one of the kids is telling a very long story, or when we are having dinner and I finish before the rest finish. I always grab my sock. While I'm cooking, that's a little bit dangerous. Start knitting when I'm cooking, that's not a good combination because I never want to stop knitting and I do want to stop cooking. But still, it's very nice to have those small projects to pick up and knit. I really want to knit as much as possible and it's really helpful to have all the projects around me. So happy with that. Last but not least, a little update on my rabbits because they are quite ignored. Here are my rabbits, as you can see. Let me introduce this story because last year, also in March, I knitted a blue rabbit for my little niece for her 3rd birthday. It was a bit of a special story. Let me start with saying I am not a stuffy lover, or maybe I can better say I'm not a stuffy, I don't love to make stuffies. I started my crafting career as a crocheter, and in that time my own kids were small, so I definitely tried to make stuffies for them, but I completely failed. I really admire the people who can create those beautiful stuffies with those beautiful eyes on the right place and the nose and the cheeks and all the things, but I am not such a person. I don't own that talent, so my stuffies always look a little bit weird, and yeah, I don't know. It was a no-go for me. So I never had the desire to make stuffies again. But last year, my little niece, she was really a little girl by then, she told her daddy and her mummy about a dream. She dreamed about a blue rabbit that I, Sarah, her auntie, made for her. And that was quite weird because I don't love blue and I don't love making stuffies, but she was really sure that it happened, and I love that magical story. I love it when your dreams can become reality, so I realized I can make her dream reality. So I did knit her a blue rabbit. I chose a pattern from Little Cotton Rabbits, and that was also a pattern when you are knitting a stuffy in pieces. I know you have all the, I will come back to that later, all the one-piece stuffies, which sounds very attractive, but I did choose a stuffy in pieces, which means that I needed to sew all the seams by hand, and that was another thing I didn't like to do, I thought. But I really loved the look of the Little Cotton Rabbits animals, because I forgot the name of the designer, I'm sorry, but she has all the lovely animals with all the lovely dresses and skirts and sweaters and shoes. It's really heart jumping. So I started to knit the blue rabbit, and something very special happened when I stuffed the head and embroidered the eyes and the nose. Then I completely fell in love with that blue rabbit. I really felt a lot of love for the animal I was knitting. It was really going deep. I hold her in my hands, and especially when I finished the body and the arms and the legs, and that tiny little rabbit in my hand, even though she was blue, it was just a heart-jumping moment. It really touched me deep and it made me so happy. And then I started knitting her dresses and shoes, and oh, I had such a good time. I was working on that rabbit for one whole week, and it was one of the best knitting weeks of my knitting life, I guess. So I gifted it to her birthday, and she was very happy with it. And then I realized I want my own rabbits. I want to knit my own children into rabbits. I have 3 children, 2 girls, 1 boy, and I wanted to make them all a rabbit. But I didn't want to have a rabbit week again. I wanted to knit on other projects, so I decided Wednesday will be my rabbit day. On Wednesdays I will work on the rabbits. So I did for quite a while, and they did grow slowly. Those are the rabbits for my girls. They both choose the same color. It's the color of my second Kalides vest. It's knitted inlet Lopi. And I asked my son, which color do you want your rabbit to be? And he said, my rabbit? Yes, your rabbit. Do I want a rabbit? A knitted rabbit, I said. And he said, I don't care. And he said, dark brown is good. So I absolutely believe that he will love his rabbit too when it's finished. So I didn't complete his rabbit, and I made the appointment with myself to stuff them all together, because I was a little bit afraid when I would have stuffed the first one, I completely would ignore the other 2 because I fell in love with this one, and those are my babies. And you love your children all, and yeah, I don't want to love just one of them. But then I decided to organize a festival, the Knit to Purl to Festival. And since the beginning of summer, all my time, a big part of my knitting time was spent on preparing that festival. So I completely lost steam on the rabbits and I didn't touch them since then. Since the festival happened, end of November, I did get my knitting time back, but I never felt, I didn't forget them. They were standing there in my knitting office all the time and I was very aware of the rabbits, but I didn't feel the rabbit vibes. So I absolutely wanted to complete them once, but it was not the time. And now that it's March again, when it's March again, I feel the rabbit vibes coming, and it's actually quite logical. Rabbits want to be born in spring because that's what they do, also in real life. So I think my rabbits are quite close to being born. And I am really looking forward to that. I have some projects, I just shared them with you, I want to finish before, and I have one project, one new cast on I need to do because there's a knitting event. I will tell more about that in another episode. There's a knitting event quite close and I want to wear that garment then. Then I will dive into the knitting rabbit hole again and I will knit my kinderen is the Dutch word, my kinderen, my children, and I can't wait to put them on the couch, on the highest part of the couch with all the lovely dresses and skirts, and I really am looking forward to diving in that rabbit hole again. So updates will be there quite soon. And there's another stuffy I want to make, because also last year this book was gifted to me by a lovely Dutch shop owner, Circle of Wool. And I want to knit that lovely tiny little duck. This is Moosh and Friends, Cynthia Velvet, Seamless Toys to Knit and Love. So those are just one piece knitted in one piece. And that sounds very attractive too. Although I must confess I didn't mind the sewing part of the rabbits, but I want to make Nana. I am really looking forward to her too. So I want to finish my rabbits first and then Nana. And then I think I will have a lot of fun. But it was really a special thing, knitting rabbits, knitting stuffies. It really touched something inside me. I never had so much fun knitting something. I really enjoy all my knitting. I am really having fun all the time. But this was special. And I think it remembered me to my childhood. I was really a girl who played with dolls a lot. In Dutch we call it een poppenmoedertje, a doll mummy. So I really love taking care of my dolls. And I think that feeling really was touched by making and holding the rabbits and dressing them up. And it was feeling as if I was playing. And I think a stuffy is not something you really need in your life, although they can maybe for children, maybe for adults too. But I don't feel, a garment feels more practical, a pair of socks feels more practical, a shawl, and spending time on knitting stuffies when there are no children around or just for yourself, it feels a bit as a waste of time, but it isn't. It is just playing and having fun, and yeah, I can't describe the heart jumping feeling. It was a very, very big heart jumping feeling, and it was very unexpected. Maybe it was so big for that reason, because I didn't expect it. I did expect to struggle me through, but I wanted to do it for my niece. But it was unexpected, very, very hard jumping, and I am looking forward to play again with those little stuffies. I was thinking last year about organizing a stuffy knit along, make yourself knit along with dolls or animals, but I'm not very good in organizing knit alongs. But of course you can knit with me. If you are making a stuffy or a doll, please share your thoughts about it. Do you recognize that heart jumping feeling? Is it making you so happy either? Or yeah, I don't know. Please let me know. I'm very curious to read. But I think maybe next week, I think I will have the time. This week it won't happen, but maybe next week. That would be fun. I will keep you updated. Okay, this was it for today. I want to wish you a very good week filled with a lot of heart-jumping moments. If you can't find them, create them because we need them. Thank you for watching and I hope to see you another time.